Does jungle ever feel overwhelming? Do you struggle deciding whether to gank or clear your jungle camps? Me too. I'm making this video to share lessons I've learned on my road to GM so you can climb to the rank you deserve.
If you're interested in getting one-on-one coaching to improve your game, comment free coaching below for 1 hour of jungle coaching, completely free. What's there to lose? It's free.
So what is a win condition? Now there are two ways that best describe win conditions in my opinion. If X condition is met, we can win. Or we can only win if X condition is met. Now remember, this is also important when looking at the enemy team. If X condition is met, they can win. Or they can only win if X condition is met. It's interchangeable. One example of a win condition is Echo at 3 items. If Echo can get enough resources to get 3 items in the mid game, he can completely take over teamfights. Another example would be level 16 Kayle. As everyone should know, once Kayle hits level 16, her champion evolves to a much stronger form that can completely 1v9. He has satisfied the condition that is needed in order for him to take over the game. The final condition would be allowing Draven to cash in his stacks. If Draven can cash in his stacks in bot lane and get a resource lead, your team is able to win through the Draven. As a jungler, being able to assess win conditions and create game plans according to them is essential for success. So in lower elos, from around iron to silver/low gold, potentially gold and plat, it's quite arguable. I feel like the skill levels got quite high recently. Your primary win condition in most games is going to be yourself. You are the win condition. Why? Well, player quality is extremely inconsistent, so relying on others is not the most optimal strategy to climb. It's very easy to make yourself the win condition in these elos as well, because of how many mistakes the enemy will make that you can take advantage of. Making yourself the win condition means focusing on maximizing resources on your champion until you reach a point where you can take over the game. You are the carry. Now this doesn't mean ignoring laners and full clearing all game. It means only ganking if you can gain some resources for yourself. In other words, don't gank to help others, only gank if it furthers your own resources. As you climb higher, however, you're going to need to be better at assessing your team composition and being more flexible by playing for your teammates. That's not to say you don't continue to make yourself a win condition, but rather optimal jungle gameplay necessitates the ability to be able to play and adapt to multiple win conditions as the game state progresses or team comp dictates. Now, if you're still confused, don't worry, let's go through some examples so you can understand together. Let's take an example team comp of Camille in top lane, Annie in mid lane, and Samira and Thresh in bot lane. Let's say you plan to make Samira your win condition because she snowballs really hard, but your bot lane die at level 2, come back to lane, and die again while perma-flaming each other with no suns. This is a doomed lane. You can then shift your win condition from getting your bot lane a lead to securing 6 scrubs and playing for a fed Camille split push. This is an example of a jungler adapting to the game state as it progresses. There are situations, however, where you can't do this. Take my ranked game. We had Ornn in top, me as Echo in the jungle, Zilean in mid, and Kate and Nautilus in bot lane. With this composition, we can only win if my solo AD Caitlyn gets her items and goes even or ahead in her lane. This is because even if I got turbo fed as Echo, they'd be able to stack a Mara Mundo and negate me. By having Caitlyn as a significant threat, it allows me to be a win condition as well, which is exactly what happened. In this situation, I don't have the luxury to adapt, and so did everything in my power to give them my full attention the whole game to the extent she asked if I was single.
You are now mine? Not looking for commitment. Sorry.
This also works for the enemy jungler too. If they recognize Caitlyn being our most important asset, they should have played to remove her from the game, and therefore significantly ruin my team's chances of winning that game. I hope this shows just how important thinking about win conditions is each game, and why you need to get better at planning around them and adapting to them. Remember, no win condition is set in stone, and there are infinite possibilities to winning a game of League of Legends. In that same example, Ornn randomly could have got extremely fed and 1v9'd, but I did not account for that as it was not a very likely possibility in my opinion. Tilting the enemy to AFK or play inefficiently is also a potential valid win condition. So if you see a play or series of plays that would bring about this win condition, then go for it. The beauty of jungle is that every jungler and game is so different. So find the win conditions that allow you to maximize victory, or that you just find the most enjoyable. To conclude the video, I'm going to go through some really common win conditions that you can pick up and notice in your own games. Racist ADC. We're talking Draven and Samira snowballing. If you get these champions ahead in bot lane and allow them to snowball, they can completely take over the game. Oftentimes, you can just automatically get a free win. The racist mid lane hyper carry. We're talking Fizz, Katarina, Kassadin. You play to get these mid laners ahead early, and they're just gonna perma roam and just take over the map, which allows you to either play with them or just continue to full clip. Dragon Soul. Probably the most important win condition to remember. Dragon Soul is going to be the main thing that determines team fights, and if you have an advantage on the enemy team in Dragons Collected, you're going to come into these team fights way more comfortably. My advice is you prioritize Dragon Soul nearly every single game. 6 grubs. Now, it's definitely a weaker win condition than Dragon Soul, but having 6 scrubs will win you games. When you do play for 6 scrubs, just make sure you have a team that is able to actually attack turrets. And a little tip from me, if you have the 6 scrubs, play for the tier 2 turrets. They give you 600 gold, so when you see opportunities to go and take them, take them. Split push God. Now this kind of aligns with 6 grubs, and these are one of the few situations it makes sense to play for grubs. If you have a Camille, Jax, Nasus, or Yorick, oh, and Trinimir, I forgot about Trinimir. Playing for 6 grubs and funneling them gold will just make them an extreme nuisance. And I've lost games where we are ahead in gold, dragons, and everything, but because of the split push champion, we just lose and can't do anything. Top lane Giga Chat. I'm talking Darius, Garen, Set. Often, even if your mid and bot lane are losing, if you get a Darius fed and he goes 6, 7, and 0, you can just completely 1v9 team fights. Don't get lost in the sauce and believe all this stuff about, oh, play for bot lane's the strongest role, only play for bot. Top lane can do its thing too. Late game Exodia comp. We're talking Smolder, Kayle, things that once they get to a certain point in late game will just immediately 1v9. Problem with these compositions is staying cool enough to get to the late game. You just have to acknowledge that you're not going to have prio early and that your job is just to survive and guide your team to the late game. Early game dominance. The complete opposite situation. Some team compositions and junglers really favor early game dominance. You want to choke out the enemy so hard that they do not get to outscale you. Take control of every early objective, get all lanes ahead, and tilt the enemy before they have a chance to come back. Finally, the jungle bully. This one's kind of unique to junglers, but take the enemy jungler completely out of the game, bully him so hard that he has no impact on the game. Often, if you take out the jungle, they will have no access to objectives, and laners will all tilt. Focusing a jungler is a really good idea, although please, if it's me, leave me alone. Thank you for watching. If you want daily jungle gameplay with commentary so you can improve your game, check out my second channel, Panda Senpai Live, or catch me live on twitch.tv/pandasenpai and support your boy. Arigato, peace.